In this video, we will talk about DevOps frameworks. There is a popular framework called as Calms Framework. Jess Humble is the one who pioneered this framework. And this video we are going to discuss is based on the App Dynamics document on Calms Framework for DevOps. What does a framework do? A framework helps in organizing the activities. Okay, it gives a design or a guideline document based on which you can draft all your steps. It's like a route map. Okay, but what matters is there are so many maps in the world. It is important you take that map and follow the steps. That's when it will take us to the destination. Okay, so we'll speak in detail about this Calms framework. And what does Calms stands for? It stands for culture, automation, lead, measurements, and then sharing. First, let's dig directly into culture. Okay, so culture is often been talked about, right? Various aspects of it is being talked about, and everyone talks about culture. And let's see the details, what it actually means. First one is from a fear of failure to a fail fast, fail forward approach. Okay, so this is very, very important, where failing is taken up very sportively and in a very in a balanced manner, right? If you continue to fail, probably you won't meet the deliverables. But the experimentation and then failing has to be an important part of the culture. And this can be driven by leaders and how we act on the field when a failure equally happens, right? When someone breaks something and how we react, right? Next one is a tech obsession to a customer obsession. This always happens, right? Especially in startups. We build up great product, okay, that there may not be any customers, and we may be building a product which is not the customer's pain point. Okay, so it is very important that we move from a tech obsession to a customer obsessions. We put ourselves in the customer shoes, right? Customer stories are very important. Also, sometimes the jobs to be done kind of frameworks can also help here. What is the actual job which the customer wants to get done? Next important aspect of culture is organizational silos to a collaborative model. So this is one of the important aspects of DevOps, right? We want to break all the silos. So previously it used to be dev and ops teams, rather dev against ops teams in case of any of the issues. And there used to be, people, and it used to be like a warlike situation. Then we integrated with business called business DevOps. Now we are integrating security, saying DevSecOps. So it is important, the importance of teams working together is highly acknowledged, and it's a great development. Okay, so as much as possible, try to break organizational silos. That's very important. Big data confusion to real-time information-driven insight. There is so much of data we collect, and though so much of queries being written, and a lot of work happens there, right? And there is a lot of big data platforms out there. And what is important is that time-driven insights. Most of the times we will be able to get these things by going into the field and talking to the customers. So these kinds of things are very important. These four things are, I would say, top representatives of what a culture has to be. Next one is automation. There is a notion that speed can sometimes be dangerous. Why do you automate? We want speed. So we want to get it done faster, right? It is important what you choose to optimize, which activity has to be done faster and which activity has to be done in the spirit of things. Just by throwing technology or some tools onto some processes, it is not going to work. It is important to look at where the speed and the agility has to be brought in. The choosing the right processes is important, and also it has to be calibrated over a period of time. And what is the word calibration, right? Or iteration. We have to iteration. It has to be iterated over a period of time again and again, and then the metrics needs to be calibrated. To work towards an optimal one. And automation success isn't about the tools but the people and process, and this is obvious, right? So we have always been discussing about this. Oftentimes it would be like get the tool, implement the tool, buy a product and implement it. That's not going to solve the problem. So we have to get to the root of the issues and then address it. And people and processes need to be set in such a way that automation becomes a success. It is more than just infrastructure and application automation, right? There are so many tools available. The ecosystem is very huge. Day in and day out, there are new tools coming in. Even there are specific focus tools coming in, right, for application automation and infrastructure automation. On the other side, all these behemoths, AWS, Azure, Google, they are coming up with their own tools and products. So what is important is, it is important to know what are all the exact processes which needs to be automated, and go beyond that, whether it really solves the problem and impacts the customer. So that's where the benefits of automation will be able to realize. Next one is the lean methods. So there are various aspects about lean methods, right? Reduce wastage, avoid redoing things and so on. So look at implementing them. Keep the processes lean, slim, and that's when it will be repeated and it will be scalable. If there are thicker processes, probably people may not follow. That's another important aspect of DevOps. Simplification and leaner and then meaner methods, processes, products, repeatable processes. That's what we mean by lean. Next one is measurement. Have simple 2-3 measurements, across all the levels. It should give the holistic aspect of it. Okay. First one is the people measurements. What are people measurements? The job satisfaction. That is very important. Second one, whether people enjoy working in the teams, right? And they feel challenged, motivated to move to the next level. That is very important. And they should also feel it is doable. The goals are achievable. That's another important aspect of DevOps, right? Rather than having a very big goal, which you won't be able to see it after 3 months or 6 months, it's all 2 weeks away. You're going to see what is going to happen, whether it is working or not. That is the satisfaction and the excitement is what is important. That is one of the people measurement. Next one is process measurements. How well the process is working. Is it really helping us? Is it really adding value? This is where it is important to ask some of the tough questions. What if I remove that process? What will be the outcome of it? These kinds of tough questions needs to be asked, and then the measurement has to be there. And how much of the process helps in the improvement, right? That's where the process measurements comes into picture. Next one is the technology measurements. Like, what is the mean time to repair? How long does this sustain, right? And what kind of efficiency this tool brings in? How much time gets reduced, right? And what time it takes, and how much of the improvement it produces. These are all the technology measurements which is important for DevOps success. Next one is sharing. This is easier said, but it is important that the sharing across all the levels happen. The VP should be able to communicate to each other. That's when the developer will start communicating, right? Oftentimes, the barriers are created not at the lower level, it is created at the upper level. Also, the feed forward mechanism has to keep going, right? And that is one of the important aspects of the infinite endless loop of DevOps, right? There is a continuous feedback, continuous integration, and the continuous delivery in all the steps across all the DevOps. So let's remember this. It is keep comms and do DevOps. Keep comms and do DevOps. C stands for culture, automation, lean, measurements, and then sharing. Let's do a quick summary. In culture, move from a fear of failure to a fail fast, fail forward approach. Encourage people to fail. That's when new innovations will come. Tech obsession to a customer obsession. Focus on the customer, whether he is happy, solve his problems, not some very good looking, highly functional product. Organizational silos to collaborative model. Work in collaboration. Sharing is very important. Rather than having it siloed and being lines of a small jungle, right? It's important that everyone gets along so that we can do faster. Big data confusion to real-time information driven insights. Insights is what important, not some complex data analysis. Next is automation. Speed can be dangerous at times, and speed is not to be recommended always. So keep that as a guiding principle of automation. Automation isn't about tools, but people and processes. People and processes has to be robust processes which will capture the failures, and there can be a feedback mechanism. That is about automation. It's also more than just infrastructure and application automation. There is more steps to build efficiency, and it is important that you focus on them. Lean methods we discussed in detail. Keep it leaner and meaner. and simple and sustainable processes. Measurements, people measurements like job satisfaction and whether they enjoy challenges and they are very comfortable in working with the team and sharing some of their failures. Process measurements, how important, how impactful the processes are these robust, in case if one of the things fails, is it able to capture it? That is important. Next is technology measurements like mean time to repair, the efficiency is brought in, those aspects of it. The last one is sharing is caring. So there has to be some good feedback and feed forward mechanism so that we are able to implement all these processes and communication flows freely. And hope this calms framework was useful, and this is one of these important and a framework which will help you to implement the DevOps principles so that it's hands-on and effective. See you in the next one. Thank you.